As writers, we're often encouraged to keep a journal and to have a writing practice. But what do they actually look like in real terms? Are they the same thing? Are they different? Can you have different types of journals? In this video, we're going to look at all of those questions, and I'm going to share with you how I use them in my life as a writer. Here is a stack of my journals. Now, I use them for different things, and I think a lot of writers do. We can have more than one type of journal, depending on what we're using it for. But journaling is different from a writing practice, and we'll get to that one shortly. Let's stick with journals, and I'm going to explain to you how I use journaling in my writer's life. My first journal is the one I write in first thing every morning, and that is this little brown leathery notebook. I write in it in pencil, and it's a personal development journal. I would suggest keeping your journals separate depending on what you're using them for, and we'll look at different journals you can keep and use. So this one I use for my faith, my personal development, my spiritual growth. These are questions I grapple with as a person, as a writer, as someone who just lives and breathes on this planet. And I ask questions of God, I grapple with heartache, I go deep with anxieties or frustrations, and I just in the mornings love to write on the page to get what's inside of me out on the page so that it doesn't live in my head. Now, my journal worked in this regard very well for me when I was going through grief, and I used my journal to really grapple with my grief and a way to just explain with pen and paper, or actually pencil and paper, what I was thinking, what I was feeling, and this journal is for my eyes only. Interestingly, what came out of this was the fact that I had very rich notes for my book when I decided to write my memoir. And so I wrote my memoir really pulling a lot of resource out of my journal. But that wasn't the focus of my journal. My journal wasn't to feed my book. My journal was to feed me as a living, breathing person who is also a writer. So that's one of the ways I use a journal. Now, what about some of these other journals that writers have? So I have 3 here, and I'll tell you what I use them for. I made the mistake of jotting down all sorts of things in the same journal, should I say, different things in the same journal. So I would take this journal, one of my first ones, it's now full, and I would write thoughts, I would do timed writing practice, I would write ideas about what I'd like to write about, I would make notes, and it would be a mix mash of different things. Now, of course, you can do that just as well as I did. The problem I found with that, though, is that I didn't have like ideas in the same notebook. I had such a mix and mash that I didn't actually know where to find what I was looking for. So I have one journal where I make notes purely on things I have read about writing that I want to collate. So I have a notebook now that is purely on advice I've got from Margaret Atwood, from one of the books of hers I've read about writing, advice I've got from other writers such as Natalie Goldberg on writing, Stephen King. I read a lot of writing books, and then I like to collate the nuggets I've gleaned from them in one notebook. So that means that one day I can sit down, read my notebook, and it's like reading a summary of everybody's advice. So that's one way you as a writer can use a journal. You're not actually journaling your own ideas, you're capturing the ideas of others to enrich your writing and to guide you as a writer. It becomes your little mentor book. This is the book that I'm currently using, the notepad I'm currently using for my timed writing in the morning. And that I love because I can fold it backwards and I can just write. So I've used it a lot for power journaling. Now, power journaling is different from a writing practice. Power journaling is a way in which you just sit for timed writing and you do free flow writing. The way it matches a writing practice is that you keep your hand moving and you get out of the way and you just let your thoughts write. But it's a stream of consciousness type of writing. And so I have a journal that works for stream of conscious power journaling. And that is a writing practice that you can use a journal for. This is a treasure little one I received from a company, and I was at a show and they were giving out these little notepads, and I took one, and I love it because it's small and I can keep it with me. I can jot things down, and I'm finding that now that I've started this YouTube channel, Write Your Story, to help you write your story, I want to, when I'm reading my memoirs or reading memoirs of other people, I want to jot down a page, a reference, something I think will make a really good topic. Or if I'm doing a memoir review, oh, I really want to speak about this when I give a review on the book. Otherwise, I find I carry on reading because I'm primarily a reader. I get to the end and go, oh, what was it again? What did I want to say? Where was that idea? And I've got to go through the book again. So I'm learning, really being a writer is a discipline. I'm learning to discipline myself to use this little notepad for those ideas. Then I know where to go back, where to find them. They're not mixed in with all my other things. So you could get something this small that you could just keep on you and use this more as a notebook to jot down ideas, jot down our thoughts, jot down things that come to you that you'd like to write about, memories, things that you don't want to forget. So that's another way you can use a notebook. It's not really journaling, but some people use the same term in order to refer to this. But that's one of the things you could also do. And then this is my little red notebook or journal of dreams. I have a book where I journal dreams I have for myself, a future I'd love to see for myself and for the world, things I would love to do, books I want to read, something that when I want to sit down and think about my goals and my plans for next year, next month, 5 years from now, I have them in this little journal where I can come to them and read milestones, read things about my life that isn't a personal delving into my inner being, just an idea of dreams and aspirations and hopes that I have and motivations. And that's what I use this journal for. And then we need a practice that helps us to start to work towards the technicalities of writing. The practice of something that warms us up the same way a pianist will sit down and do piano scales to warm their fingers and to just get themselves warmed up. And that's what a writing practice is. Journaling is all a way of supporting our writing, but a writing practice is a method we sit down to every day before we write in order to warm ourselves up for our writing. I have started following the writing practice that Natalie Goldberg advocates. Natalie Goldberg's advice is in this book I have of hers called Wild Mind, Living the Writer's Life. And as you watch my videos, you'll know I'm all about living the writer's life. So if you want to know more about living the writer's life, if you want more tips on how to write, the practicalities, the technicalities of writing, then please do subscribe and hit the notification bell. So keep in mind, I think journaling and writing practice are both foundational to the structure of a writer's life. We need both. So I'm going to do a completely separate video on the writing practice that Natalie Goldberg advises in this book, as well as in her really popular book, Writing Down the Bones. So watch out for that video. I'm going to tell you all about it in the next video.